The idea behind today is, oh, by the way, I'm a walker, just to get that over, and I'll end up walking quite a lot. So I'm doing a session on power of KPIs for independent gyms. Now, a little tiny bit of background about me. I've been in the industry for far too long, right? So I've been in it for probably around about 30 odd years or something. I started off with the Via Hotels, worked for them for a while, looking at like the hotel side of it, and did some stuff in the Belfry, some of the posh hotels and bits and pieces. I then left there and I went to Fitness First. Has anyone ever been to Fitness First? Back in the day, they used to be really good. Yeah, but anyway, I worked for them for a while. I left them and I went to LA Fitness. I was a national management trainer. That's when I started writing courses and presenting and making sure we get standards and procedures and policies and all that fun stuff boxed off. And then after I'd done that for a while, I'd sort of got my head around how to run gyms operationally, and I then wanted to try and understand data and the information that we should be collecting. So I went to work for a company called Cascade 3D, who work on the back end of XN, Legends, Gladstone, Omnico, all these do the big leisure management systems when you swipe in. So I wanted to try and understand data faster. And then after a while, I then went on my own. Now, we're going to be talking about KPIs today. There's a reason why I've asked Wayne to come and sit at the front for me. So Wayne, obviously, so I don't know if you know Wayne, but Wayne's the owner of Clubright. He used to be, so what we've basically done is, Greg, you'll see when he comes in a minute, he was the head of sport for Reading Uni and he made our particular product. He couldn't find something, so he made it. Wayne did exactly the same. He couldn't find something on the market that would help him, so he created a leisure management system. Now, the reason why I brought Wayne in is because we're talking about KPIs, and between sort of what we do, you should be able to capture all this information that we're talking about today. Okay? So at the end, if you want to ask us any questions, then please fire away. So this is what I'm going to go through. KPI process, the why, the what. I'm going to go through, so I broke it down into 5 areas. So, and for each of them, I'm going to talk about the top 2 KPIs. Now, this doesn't mean it's the top 2 KPIs for you as a business. These are just the ones I see most in my sort of consultancy life. I look after something in the region of about 700 leisure centres throughout the UK, working with some chains, with universities, with different councils and trusts, and some independents. So, because I look at that many, I'm trying to show you the ones which are most popular, or that we tend to see the most. Now, to me, the word key is very important, right? It should be what's key for your business at this moment in time. Quite often people will tell you what you need to have, but your business should dictate what the KPIs are, and not someone like me. Anyway, other KPIs to consider. So I will give a little tiny bit of a brief rundown on, so there's 5 for each one, but I'll give the top 2, we'll get a bit more gravitas and a bit more information on them. Has anyone ever heard of a balanced scorecard? Okay. We've got a balanced scorecard in the room. Good. So the idea behind a balanced scorecard, this is trying to get the organisation, right, we're all too busy and we're all trying to concentrate on everything all the time. Now, a balanced scorecard stops you from doing that. A balanced scorecard basically allows you to have what's called cause and effect. So if something gets better or if something gets worse, we should know exactly why and how that's happened. So when I get to the end, I'll talk about where this all fits into that approach. Anyone that's come today, at the end, there's a QR code that you can scan. We've put together some documents that we produced. So there's like 16 risk assessments that your gym might need. There's some procedures and some checks and some cleaning standards and things. So you need to measure stuff, right? If you're going to have a KPI, there needs to be measures. So there's a few different documents in here, a few checks, a few different bits and pieces that you might want to use as a starter for your business. So all you've got to do is scan the QR code and we'll send them across to you. You can ask us other questions as well, but that's absolutely fine. So KPI process. The first, I said it before, what's key for your business? Right, this is absolutely paramount. What's key for yours will not be the same as what's key for yours. And if you've got multiple sites, you'll find multiple sites shouldn't all have the same KPI, right? Because depending on where they are in their cycle will depend on what they should be concentrating on. So that's really, really important. The next phase is how are you going to measure it? Because I say people, every organisation I go to, oh, we've got KPIs. Okay, does anyone want to name a KPI that they have in their business? I know this is uncomfortable. There's only about 6 of us, so it's not too bad. Just anyone want to name a KPI that you have? Income, there we go, right? Now, to me, income is definitely something that we need to look at and measure, right? Now, I'm a big fan. If we look at other KPIs that can change that figure, I don't know whether that... I want to know the things that are going to change it, right? So that I might not have that as a KPI. I'm going to look at it in my business, But I'm going to look at the key things that are going to change it. It's a bit like if someone says to me, I want to look at class capacities, right? Well, there's certain things I need to look at that will change the class capacities, like utilization of space in the future, or whatever it may be. So the key behind it, it's more about how we can change the business, not look at what it used to be. When I first went to Cascade 3D, my manager said to me, right, you need to go and teach people how to run reports, right? And about 2 days later, I went into my boss and went, you're doing it wrong. If they don't do anything with them, it's pointless. Why don't we give them the top 10 reports that will generate income for the business if they do something with it? Has anyone ever looked at a load of reports but done nothing with it? Yeah? Or I'd go into a site and they'd go, oh, usage last month was this. And I went, try changing that. Try changing last month's usage. It's well hard. Try changing last month's finance. So hard. If you want to have an influence on your business, maybe don't concentrate on the past, but maybe the future. You know, the hotel industry taught me that. They don't look at what they did last month. They look at what holes they've got in the future and they look to try and fill them. That's their KPI because they want business, not to look what it used to be like. So how are you going to measure it? What does it look like? You must all have dashboards this day and age with all these sexy systems that people have. These CRM systems coming out of our ears, you must all have dashboards, yeah? One for each department, I bet. Yeah? I'm sure you have. You know they haven't. But anyway, that's good. So what does it look like? How are you getting on? Are you better this month than you were last month? Who's better this month than they were last month? Okay, on all of them? Okay, oh, so maybe not. Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good. The fact that it's measured, good. That's a good thing. So we're going to look at that. What's going to change it? That's important. And obviously, I'm assuming every year you would reevaluate what's key now in the business because let's say you're not very good at health and safety. As an example, that might be something that we really concentrate on because we've just damaged the reputation of our business. So for this year, that's a key thing. But once we've mastered that, does that need to stay key? We've still got to do it. Of course we have. But does it become a key factor that comes up in every single meeting? So the ID, the why. So establishing accountability. Who owns stuff? I go to organizations and I ask people who does stuff. I ask people figures about their business. I ask them numbers and data about their business. And I'll have the senior management in the team and they'll go, oh no, we don't know that. And I'm like, well, if you don't, who does? You know, one of my questions I like to ask people about operations is this. How many tasks a day does it take to run your business? Put your hand up if you know. It's your business. Mad that, innit? It's obviously not a measure. It's not something we look at. Right? So the whole idea behind it is that, so if you don't know how many things you do, you obviously don't know who does it. Right? Now that becomes a problem because you'll have some people smoking cigars. You know the ones. Someone's running around getting run ragged, aren't they? There's a certain member of staff who's getting battered. They're the ones who are good. And we keep asking them to do more because they're good. And then you've got the cigar or the lead swingers. Right? Well, it's your business. I think that becomes a problem. We need to know who's doing what and when. When you're time poor, which we are, so remember years ago, I remember when I used to work in gyms years ago, we used to have loads of people on shift, like loads, like proper loads. You could have a proper laugh. You could even have pull-up competitions with all your mates in the gym. It was brilliant, right? So you had loads of customers and it was amazing. Now, we haven't got that anymore. What we've got now is every time someone leaves, we go, all right, we won't replace them. We'll just share out the tasks. Right? And then we share them out again. Before we know it, everyone's getting battered, right? But what I'm basically trying to say, has anyone ever heard that there was an analogy done by a professor, and he had a vase, and he puts a load of rocks in it, he goes, is that full? Has anyone ever heard of that analogy before? Yeah? And then the students go, yeah, and he throws some pebbles in, shakes them around, and goes, is it full now? Yeah. Then he puts some sand in, then he puts some water in, and in the end they go, bleeding hell, it's full. But the key behind that is you've got to get the rocks in first. So what I'd like to know is you haven't got much time. Surely you're spending it on the rocks. Surely any time you do have is spent on the stuff that's going to give you the biggest return in your business. Surely. Wouldn't make sense not to. And are you heading in the right direction? And I say here, facts, not feelings. I was doing some consultancy in an organisation. Won't tell you who they are, right? But I was in an organisation the other week and they had 7 sites. Right? And this girl said to me, this site's not very good, but that one over there is brilliant. And I went, me. And she went, what does me mean? And I went, I don't know how you measured it. I said, the attrition is 74%. So per 1,000 members, they lose 740. Don't think that's that great. Out of the new members who sign up, let's say it was 100 people who signed up, only about 7 of them get an induction. I've just done a cleaning audit. It was well below 32%. So that's where me comes from, because I'm basing it around facts, not fear. Oh, because you're really shite and they're not quite as shite as you. That's why they're good. Now I get it. Right? So the key behind this is really important. It's got to be based on facts. Try rowing with a fact. It's well hard. Yeah? So if I go into a gym and there's a spider's web above the door, try arguing about that. Try it. You can't. There's one outside the door. It isn't coming, by the way. Anyway, KPIs, the what and in what order. So, service. To me, we're in the service industry. Surely that's what we do first. We make sure we provide a good service. Now, everyone says they do. Everyone says they do. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us only lose 70% of our members a year. Brilliant. Yeah? So that's amazing. Then we have a look at operations, because that's what helps the service, right? You get your operations right, and then you can provide the good service. So that's why it's in that order. Product, what is it you're selling? If you went to a restaurant, right, and the food was lovely, but the service was not that great, would you go back? Maybe. If you went in and the service was amazing, but the food was shite, would you go back? Definitely not. Because you went out for food, right? So the product is massively important. Now, when I say product, I don't just mean the facilities, because that's what I see a lot. I see amazing facilities, but it's not a product. It's not alive. We're not keeping it there. Then we have marketing, because I'm a big fan that you've got to put the plug in the bath first, right? And then you start to drive people in, and then you help them. Can you see the way I've changed it from sales to help? Because people are scared of the word sales. And all I want my people to do is help someone join. I want them, help them to come in and be healthier and live a little bit longer. That's all I want them to do. So that's why it's changed the name of it. Okay, service KPIs. Feedback, possibly one of the most important things. How much feedback did you have last month, and what percentage of it was actioned? Ish. Would anyone know that? And what I'm saying from this as well, to me, the key point is, so I want to know how many procedures changed in your organisation last month because you listened to people. And if it's none, you're probably not listening. I went to an organisation the other day. They've had over 70, I think it was something like 1.7 million swipes. Big organisation, right? And they get on average 2 feedback a month. The ratio's quite low. I don't think you're listening. You must have trained your staff to go and get feedback, because you can't just wait for it to come in. So you can see all these points of why this needs to be one of the things that you look at. This is proving that you listen, because we listen to our customers. See that on websites all the time. We listen to our customers. Do you? Not if you're not actioning stuff, and not if you're not changing stuff. SWIOB. This is a little bit of a weird thing, right? I used to work for McDonald's. You can tell, right? But I used to work for McDonald's. Now, as much as McDonald's is the worst job I've ever had, it's still to this day the best company I've ever worked for. And I work for me. You'd think my business would be better, wouldn't you? But it's not, and I'll tell you why, because they've got processes and systems. They're amazing. People don't even know what McDonald's is about. It's about retail. They make someone go and sell burgers and give them a mortgage on the best places in the whole world. They're brilliant at it, right? But the whole idea behind it, they used to use this thing sold SWIOB. So imagine I'm sitting by the reception area and someone walks in. I'm going to see whether the reception smiles. I'm going to see whether they welcome them using the name. I'm going to see if they give them eye contact. Did they offer them something? And did they say bye? Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I've gone to a lot of organisations where they have someone on reception. I used to call them Rennie. So then people only smile when they've got wind. Sitting behind a desk or a chair, right? So the whole idea behind this is dead easy. I could very, very quickly, I only need 10 customers to come in, and I can sit down and go, you were absolutely brilliant today. 80% of the people who smiled, that's amazing. If we can get it to 90, superb. You didn't offer anyone anything, right? We can work on that, right? But imagine being able to give people that qualitative data. I'm telling you now, don't less miserable on reception. We can make them unless miserable. If I can get someone from 20% to, well, first of all, don't put them on reception, but that's a different question, right? But the reality behind it, if I can get them to 30%, I've just doubled them by 50%. That's a huge increase. They're still miserable. But then once I've got them to 30, how do I get them to 40? Okay, so this is why I'd use some sort of measuring tool like this. Very, very simple, but it allows you to know if your service levels are going the right way. And imagine this. I'm the manager, and I'm doing a SWIO. Now, it might be on my fitness manager. It might be on my fitness team. It might be on my cleaner. It might be on reception. They know I'm doing one. What do you think happens? Because it might be them. I call it a business speed camera. When you see a speed cam, you do what you're meant to, don't you? If you were speeding, right? Now, this is like a removable speed camera. This is one of them vans. Because one day they're like, oh, is he there, the bastard? Right, I'm always looking, do you know why? Because I always want the service to be good. So measuring something like that is key. There's other things. Members' average number of visits. If they're not coming in, then you're probably not doing your job very well. Spend per swipe. This is massive. Why are we one of the only industries that don't measure this? That's mental. I don't know how many visits do people have a year. Does anyone want to give me the average amount of visits? It's probably in your KPIs. You'll all remember it. Came up. How many visits a year do you reckon you get?
In one of the gyms, 100,000.
100,000. Okay. So if I can get the average spend per swipe, if I can get the average spend from swipe, which what I see on average is about 2p, right? If I can get that to 10p, that's worth around about £80,000. But don't worry about it because you're flush at the minute, aren't you? Money's flying. So again, I'm not saying what I'm saying is out of these, you can't look at all of them because they're called EPIs. You can't be too busy. You have to concentrate on the bits which are going to give you the biggest return. Mystery shopping, really important. Don't do them every month because what happens is you get one, wasn't very good. Give yourself time to action stuff. From this mystery shop, what percentage of things have you actioned to make the next one better? Yeah? But you've got to do them. You've got to know what's going on. Okay, that's service. Operational KPIs. Cottonmouth's kicking in now, so let me have a little drink. Okay, cleaning audit. Got to have cleaning standards. Right? Massively, massively important. We know that this is a big reason why people leave. Right? Has anyone got laminate floor at home? It's a bleeding nightmare. You probably haven't got 100,000 people coming in, right? And it's still a bleeding nightmare. So could you imagine lying on a studio floor and seeing all this stuff like when they move a spin mic and when they get... So cleaning is massively important, right? So I think we should measure it. Training your bleeding staff. I don't just mean on the stuff where they can sue you for on the first day. Everyone does that, don't they? Day one, can you sign these forms off, please, so you can't sue me? Right? This is about training people to actually be able to do the job. Literally, there should be no training that you need once you've been trained. This is what McDonald's taught me. I couldn't believe it when I left McDonald's. I went to the V at a 5-star hotel, and it was like, this is in fitness. So, oh, you've got a sports science degree. Oh, you'll be fine. And I was like, that was me training. You'll be fine. In McDonald's, I don't care if Gordon Ramsay comes in. They're going to teach you how they do it. Because that's their standard and that's what they want it to be at. Not you all create your own standard. So the key behind induction training is absolutely massive. Now, what I'd love is this. You're the gaffer. You want to open a new site. What's the training going to be like for the new gaffer? Because yours just you've learnt on the job. Right? That's a hard thing to train. You've got multiple sites. Imagine if a new site opens. Right? What did your training look like? I know you're relatively new. What's the induction like? Okay, yeah, covers everything, yeah. yeah, whatever. But you get the drill, right? The higher up you get in the business, the more watered down this becomes because you should just get it, right? Well, you don't, right? The key behind it, this absolutely has to cover everything for every job role. Standards audit, yeah, so it's slightly different than cleaning. Compliance, checks, checking of checks. Do you have a check of the checks? We used to make every single manager check 3 checks a day. So if I have 2 managers on a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, I know 6 things are going to get checked. Right? So I now have a good understanding that we're going to do 42 checks a week. Right? So can you start to see what I'm getting to? Right? I'm starting to get to the fact that I know that these things are happening. How many checks got checked in your business last month? Okay? So you get the idea. Maintenance downtime. Does anyone do that thing where they don't put a time on the thing that it only goes out? They don't put a time on because they know they're probably not going to hit it. So instead of telling the customer something, we tell them nothing. Don't do that. Right? I'd rather tell them it's down for 6 months and then fix it in 2 months. Just lie the wrong way because they're already unhappy. But then you can exceed expectation at least by controlling it. So you can see some operational ones in there. What percentage of your members last month hit their goal? It's the reason why they joined. Now, it might be to improve the serve. It might be to get the kids to be able to do a rally for 10 knocks. I don't know what, different places will have different goals. But how many of your members hit their goal last month? Because you measure service, right? Would anyone be able to answer that question? It's mental, isn't it? The one reason why they joined, and we haven't got a Scooby. I find that a little bit bizarre. So imagine if Slim and Weldon Weight Watchers, they're no good, are they? Because we're much better. We've got a venue. We sometimes hire it to them because they're clever, right? I bet you they know. Has anyone here ever had a friend that has been on Slim and Weldon or Weight Watchers? Yeah. And if you did, how did you know they were on it? And did your friend ever hit a goal? Oh my God, they get a certificate, a little bag of fruit. It goes on Facebook. Look at this, babes. Right? And it's all over the gaff. It's going wildfire on their Facebook, not yours, because no one goes to yours. Right? Especially if you only tell them things are broken when it's closed and stuff, right? But you get the idea behind it is that they're so clever. What a market that is. The diet market's the best market ever. Do you know why? Because it only fails. It's their fault. It's genius. There's a reason why Slim and Weldon and Weight Watchers were owned by Nestle and Heinz at one stage. Nestle, the people who make chocolate. Genius. So members hitting the goal, really, really important. Interactions. I remember an area manager coming into me. We need to get rid of some of the gym staff. Okay. That one over there spoke to 3,628 people last year. That one there was 2,846, but he did do 126 inductions. Which one do you want to get rid of? We can't get rid of any, I know, because I'm using them and I know what they do. Now, imagine if I only have to speak to 10 people a day, which anyone who works in the gym knows that's a breeze. I can do that in an hour, easy. But let's give them only 10 a day, 50 a week, 200 a month, 2,400 a year. Right? I want to know you're speaking to people. Now, we've got to train them to speak to people because telling them is not really a good training method. I found that out at McDonald's. Right? So when I say you've got to go and interact, how? What's your question technique training? I'm not going into it. I'm starting to get a little bit passionate about this. You can probably sense. But the idea behind it is you've got to, interactions is massive and we don't measure that either. Class capacities. Member journey completion. I went to a site the other day. Oh, we haven't completed our member journey yet. I said, you've been open for 42 years. This was a trust. I'm like, you've been open for 42 years and you still haven't got control of your journey. Well, who's in control of it then? Whose business is it? Attrition. It's always last on mine. Because I know if I hit these top two up here, this will change. And so will this. And so will this. Now, I'm not saying don't do them, right? But to me, it's about the actions which are going to change and make your business better. Marketing KPIs. Campaign effectiveness. Did it work? Well, we got 72 likes. Yeah, how do you measure your marketing? Shares, likes, competition entries? Don't know, right? I did an audit on a site the other week, and out of 102 posts that they've done in the last month, 72 of them were to tell people what was wrong and what wasn't working. So when you're like, I don't know whether that's the correct use for it. Nothing educational, nothing about diet. So we know, like, a lot of the population is getting a bit chubby now, right? We're not allowed to tell them that, because that would be wrong, but we can let them die of obesity, that's okay. Activity on socials, who's doing what, how many actions have you done, blah, blah, blah. Events ROI, web traffic, yeah. Sales KPIs, net movement. Absolutely essential. Now, there's a few other figures that come under this. So if you've done an offer and that means you've watered down your yield, then net movement's not quite as important then. But the key behind it is understanding all the metrics of it, right? But that's why yield comes in as a very important thing. If I know those two, I probably know if I'm heading in the right direction or not. Yeah? Activity levels, cause, tours, staff skill sets. Yeah, really important. Data capture, are you any good at it? What percent of your data capture leads got followed up last month? How many did you have? Who owns it? Everyone. It's in the inbox. Referrals. 84% of our industry is populated by referrals and word of mouth. So to not have word of mouth and not measure it might not be clever. Okay, so. Well, I've just thrown variance to budget in. I've thrown variance to budget in as well, just in case you might want to measure the revenue. But you can see how, I'm not saying don't measure it. And because it's not a KPI, it just means that we focus on the other things. I still look at it, but I don't put a massive amount of time into it. Okay? So, by using all these different things, we can then create what is called, we need to focus the business. We need to be focusing on the right bits. Because sometimes it must feel like it's like this, right? It's like, oh my God, we've got to keep every plate spinning. If I was working with you and I said, how many plates are you spinning? Okay, now tell me if one could smash, which one is it? Which plate are you allowed to smash? Oh, we can't smash any. No, you're going to, right? Because if you keep trying to run everyone, it might be the most important one. And that's even more dangerous than not pretending that you can spin them all and that you're going to keep them all going. So we have to focus the business. There has to be accountability. There has to be ownership. Who owns feedback in your business? Who owns stock? Have you ever run out of stock? Probably because no one owns it. When I've worked in nightclubs, I've worked in all different places. I didn't give you my full CV because it's boring, isn't it? Right? But in nightclubs, one of our KPIs was never running out of stock. What percent of the stock did you run out of? None. Because we focused on it. Because there's nothing worse than going to a bar that you normally go to. Oh, we haven't got any. Oh, they give you a hot glass. That's a different thing. That just annoys me. If you want to have 2 sites, how much are you going to make in the next one? Right? What's the blueprint to go, right, if I lift this up and go, boom, why do I know that that's going to make money? I remember doing this. Fitness First used to give me the 7 worst sites in the UK. And I used to go in. The first thing I did was what I call the fussy customer walk. I'd wander around it and have a proper look, open doors, all that type of stuff. Say to the manager, do us a favour, can you get me in the plant room? I don't know the code. I quickly know he doesn't go in there, he doesn't understand his business, right? So I'd go and do that. Then I'd sit down and speak to the humans, these lovely people, and most of them are brilliant and want to be good. And then I'd quickly find that they're not having one-to-ones, they haven't got direction, they don't own anything, they're not responsible for stuff, they just come in and go home. Right? And I'd try and fix that. And then I remember Martin Long was LA Fitness. Michael Balfour sent me this letter. Craig, you've done really well turning around the businesses. What is it you've done? And as you said, I started listening to the staff because they know how to run the business and helping them to own stuff. A good manager isn't needed. Right? If you can't go out of your business, we're not managing, you're running it. So, a balanced scorecard, you should be looking at probably these types of things. And all these different things, I'll show you, there's another slide now. You should be able to see the cause and effect of where these kick in. Yeah? So you can see here, there should be some sort, now under here, look, there's 12 different things, and there's 3 things here, and there's 5 things here. So when you build these for your business, right, the key behind it is there's a load of stuff that feeds into getting these scores. But you should know the cause and effect of everything in your business, especially for the most important bits. Now, you in your business would, right, how's finance going? Up or down? How's it happening? Okay, it's gone down. Let's have a look where and what we're going to do about it. Exactly the same with marketing, exactly the same with HR and training people, exactly the same with service, exactly the same with operations. We should know who owns it and who's doing something. Okay, right. If you scan that, you'll get like a freebie type thing that you can, all you've got to do is like put your details in. Now, I've got this other OpsPal thing, I'm not selling you, don't worry, there is an offer if you want it, right? But the idea behind it is that the key part of this is that on that thing you can say, just give us the freebie and we're sound, we won't do your heading, we won't. We'll just send you an email and we'll be fine with it. We're already busy, so it's not doing that. Now, Do you have any questions about KPIs? Now, between me and Wayne, all of them, we could probably help you with. Now, most of the stuff I do, you can do on paper if you want anyway. So when I say to you, what percentage of your staff have been trained? Now in our system, we go, ding, ding, 72%, brilliant. And here's the people who need this, right? Because I didn't want to, when I used to run 96 sites, trying to update an Excel spreadsheet or 73 spreadsheets was a bleeding nightmare, right? It's just a time drainer, right? And I would rather spend time trying to develop the business and not just look where it is in the process. So do any of you have any questions at all based around KPIs? Fire anything at me.
How did you learn all the information, like what's your KPIs?
Okay, so the first thing I did troubleshooting in round about 80 different clubs, right? And have you ever watched Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmare? Yeah. He does the same bleeding thing every week. I quickly found that most of the important bits are the same. So I did that by physically running and going in and changing and helping people, right? And I'll tell you now, the biggest problem is we don't train people and we don't measure stuff, right? So, and then I went to learn the data. So I spent 6 years as a commercial analyst on the back end of these systems going, Jesus Christ, there's so much opportunity in here. If only this was part of the bit we want to concentrate on. Yeah, so that's where I spent my time, was trying to, I know how to operate a business. I'm not being cocky about that. I'm involved in about 700 of them. I see some of the best practice you've ever seen. I called it pockets of genius, right? Now, our business is about pulling these together, right? So that's what we're trying to do for this organisation and for independent gyms. You know, I can tell you now every risk assessment you need, every procedure you need, and every check you need in your business, right? Because I want this industry to be good. But yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. I just haven't wasted my time. Anyone else? These gents here, come on, there's got to be something to fire at me. Catch me out. Catch me out if you can. Love this bit.
What's your favourite KPI?
Well, do you know what? It's totally the one that changes the most, right? So it depends on, for different businesses, it's different things. Now, the one that I find probably has the biggest impact is the one of what percentage of the people have been inducted properly. It's amazing that when you train people to do the job they're actually meant to do, they're actually quite good at it. When you do hindsight training, where you wait for something to go wrong, and they go, why didn't you do it this way? That doesn't really motivate people a great deal. So my biggest, me personally, is training people properly in the first place. I couldn't believe it when I left McDonald's and I went, so wait there, you don't even train us? And it was like, apparently we assume that people are okay. I'm telling you they're not. No one wants to wake up in the morning and go, do you know what? I think I'm going to be shite today. Now, they might end up shite that day, but that's your fault. Don't blame them.
And that's an interesting point. For a guy I used to work with years ago, and he taught me an awful lot, because he actually said, you've gone absolutely wax lyrical about the guy you just employed. He's going to be the best salesperson ever. The last 3 months, he's been the worst salesperson. Why is that? I said, well, you know, he's not done this. He said, no, you haven't supported him. Never forgotten it. And it's every time you sit there thinking, you found this great person, you spent ages trying to recruit them, maybe paid a recruiter some ridiculous percentage, then the person comes in, full of the joys of spring, and we let them down. And I've never forgotten that. It's just so important.
We all know what the induction looks like. Can you go through some stuff on reception with these for me, please? What do you want me to go through? Whatever. Right? And then we say to the new member of staff, is there anything else you need to know? I don't bleeding know, I'm new.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my favourite.
Do you find, I don't know if you noticed, but is it like video kind of training or like written training or in-person training?
Whatever's the best message to get the message across, right? So in learning styles, you've got visual, audio, and kinesthetic. Yeah. So normally people have two preferences out of those and normally dismiss one. So giving someone just a manual is probably only, at maximum, is only going to hit probably around about 66% of people, right? So there has to be testing, there has to be trialing, there has to be doing things. Now, the idea behind it is that think about how you train people for lifeguard and first aid, right? You probably do that properly because you have to by law, and everything else you don't. So, you know, what does your test look like in your business to measure whether they're good enough to answer the phone? But you know, give me a phone. You remember, hello? You know, the first 5 times you're talking proper shite, aren't you? Right? Because you don't know what, and then you find your flow. But your flow might be different than your flow, and that's wrong because that's not a brand now. Right? So letting people find the flow is There's got to be a structure there. I don't like scripts, but I do like structures to help people to be good. Yeah? Anyone else?
You spoke about not concentrating on what you've done and concentrating on the future. What do you think in our industry is the best KPI to be able to manage the impact that you're going to have rather than you've had?
If you're gonna, it depends on the aspect. If you're looking at classes, you've got to look at space available in the future and how you fill it. Right? So you go to any hairdressers, any beauticians, they will be selling future slots. We don't, we just wait for them to come. Right? So if I was doing classes, I would do it that way. If I was doing the best KPI for your fitness instructors, I see this all the time. I go into organisations, they say to me, Craig, will you come and do some sales training? I go into the business very, very quickly and go, you don't need sales. You need to put the plug in the bath before you turn the tap on. Right? So again, it comes back to making sure that if someone does walk through that door, they are going to be smiled at. They are going to have a proper induction. Someone is going to care about them. They are going to teach them how to use the kit. If they see something wrong, you know, our industry's done this for years. You'll buy some of the dearest kit in the whole wide world, right? It doesn't matter, I won't name any names, but we all know who knocks it out, right? So you buy this really dear, expensive kit. They come in and tell you how to use it properly, but they don't teach you what people do wrong on it. Well, that's what I should be looking for. If I see someone doing this on a bike, it's because the seat's too high. That's my chance to speak. Right? If I see someone on a rower and they do that push and then come in, no, there's 3 phases to a rower, chief. That's my chance. So we should be teaching them the opportunities to interact, but we don't. We normally take them away by making everything digital. I felt a rant coming on then. Did anyone else feel that burn up inside then?
And it's interesting what you say about the sales side. I always used to look at, and still do, why did we not sell to that person?
Oh, God,
That's
yeah.
the learning point is, you know, you might be having a wonderful sales time, but it's the ones that you didn't sell to and understanding why you didn't. So then at least you can make the corrective action going forward to think, well, actually, I can change that next time, or we missed this, we missed that. And it's all a process at the end of the day. And people, I mean, like you say, McDonald's, I mean, I love process. I'm just ridiculously process driven. Might be really boring, but I go from A to Z and I know exactly where I am. And if I go outside that zone, that's when it becomes Captain Chaos. So as long as you stick in that and you've got that relationship and you're finding out why people didn't do what you expected them to do, that's when it becomes exciting because you can make things change. And that's everything you've been talking about,
and
really.
I remember falling out with the chief exec of LA Fitness. They went to an awards night and this lad had sold 262 memberships in July and he's up on stage. I said to him, see that girl over there who sold 72, she should be on the stage. He said, why? I said, because she only lost 42. She had a net gain of over 30. Yeah. See, soft ass, he lost 60 members and you've just given an award for it. Right? This is why the net movement and these things are really, really important. But it's your business, right? And if you can't, I'm telling you now, you can't concentrate on everything. Right? Now, you can say to someone else, right, you concentrate on this, and now you concentrate on this. And the key behind managing a proper team is them knowing how to run the business. There's a fellow called Jurgen Klopp, bit of a legend. Don't know if you've heard about him, but he was a bit of a legend, right? And one of his things that he said is, I hire people who are better than me. Why would I hire them and tell them what to do? So the fitness instructors should be telling me exactly how we do that part of the business and how we make it better. Not me telling them. You're sitting on your ass again. You're on your phone again. Take the freaking phones off them. Can we cover that? Can you cut that bit out? The swearing, sorry. Sorry, okay, has this been any good? Has it been all right? Has it made sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, if we can help you in any way, shape or form, if you've done that little thing and you put some details in, we'll come back to you. If you only want the free stuff, I'll just send you that and it's absolutely fine. You've got our details. We're quite passionate about helping. Between me and Wayne, we've got a bit of a partnership. We're going to try and create, in the future, we want our 2 products to spit this at you. Right? That's our ultimate aim, is that when you log, because all this data is already going on, right? We already know, all this information is already being captured, is by us anyway. Right? Now, yours is on paper at the minute, but our future aim is to make this, you come in and go, right, there's that balance scorecard score. Why has it gone down? Let's go and have a look. Poof, there it is. Let's go and speak to Steve. Right? So that's our future aim of what we're trying to get to. Right? We know how hard it is to run businesses. Right? You've gone from what? How many sensors have you got now?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000 people. Gyms are online with this software now. We're up to 185. We're new. We're fresh. That's the little baldy fella's job at the back. He does all the code and bits. He's Greg used to be the head of sport in Reading Uni, and when we met, I was like, "Oh, you're doing that thing that I wanted my old boss to make." Within 2 days, we were in business, and this is just the output of what we're trying to get to. Now, all this stuff I've mentioned today, you don't need any. You can do this now. It's just going to take you bleeding ages.
So appreciate you haven't tried to sell us anything today. We've spent 7 years building a business, 6 clubs. We spent the last 2 years going back, actually quite a few steps back, building risk assessment, investing in platforms, building structures and all the things that you've discussed, and we're still very early on that journey. Do you already have a solution that you've got that is going to benefit us?
Every day of the week.
Yeah.
If you've got a good leisure system, which captures all the stuff from the customers, and then you've got another system that captures everything that you do in your facilities and for your staff. When Greg was the head of sport, right, and he had 7 different systems, and how do you manage 7 systems? So he said, look, there's got to be a better one out there. He couldn't find it, so he built it. Right, so this has been built for exactly what you do. This isn't me and him going, what do you think we need? Right, this is like years of experience and people coming up to us going, right, can you have this button? And we go, yeah, we can, because we understand why you need the button. Right, we're in loads of other different industries. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about them as much as I do leisure. And the reason behind it is because I get leisure. I totally understand it. I understand hotels, I understand gyms, I understand pubs, because I've worked in them, right? But this is a really good industry. The only thing is that we're not very good at doing the basics. When I was in nightclub management, do you think they knew what their average spend per person was? When I was in hotels, do you think they knew what their accommodation percentages were in the future? Do you think they didn't know what their average spend per swipe was in the restaurant and what the upsell value was? Of course they did. But in leisure, we just keep plodding on doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I believe Einstein said that's a bit mad. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.